All right, here we go. Yeah, now I can hear the recording in progress. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am your girl Molinda Jae, and I'm here to do a review of the Hair Tales with Chloe Bailey as the last person on this six-part. Can I call it a docu-series? I guess we could call it a docu-series. It is a series, and they are documenting their hair journey, right? So they're they're recalling and reflecting on their hair journey. Yes. So we're going to be talking about her hair tales today. And this premiered not last week, it was the week before last. Yes, 2 weeks ago. Don't ask me why I'm late, okay? Don't ask me why I'm late, okay? I've already watched the episode before, and I kid you not, I wrote this script out literally before the day it premiered because I watched it on Hulu. You can watch it if you were watching it in real time. You could have watched it on Hulu before the episode premiered. So that's what happened. I watched it on Hulu because I thought I thought I had skipped the episode, or because I was watching Black Panther around the time when uh, Marseille Martin's interview came out. So yeah, I literally wrote the script, y'all. It was just finding the time to actually record, time and energy. See, I'm giving myself away again. Let's get back to the topic. Okay, that'll be a whole separate video in itself. Now, on to Chloe Bailey. The deeply rooted. That's what her theme was. Deeply rooted. So Tracy Ellis Ross asked her who did her hair, and she said her mom. First, it was a loctician because until she turned the age of 3, her mom was doing her hair, and then that's when her and her sister, excuse me, Hallie Bailey, had locked their hair. She decided to lock both of her girls' hair. And I cannot believe it, but I'm believing it. They are 20 years locked. That is a long periodically time. Okay. That is very impressive. But shouts out to the mom to just go ahead and nip it in the bud and just gonna be like, we gonna just go ahead and lock your hair, girls. And yes, and we just gonna float this thing out together. And so my thoughts on this episode is Tracy had asked her the reasoning behind her having locks. And how Chloe explained it is basically, well, once her mom locked her and her sister's hair, it was basically like they were going to embark on this journey together. So it won't be one who had this type of texture and the other had this type of texture, and they wouldn't be figuring it to, in my eyes, that's what it seemed like, the how the mother came about this decision of not only it's a low maintenance hairstyle, but also when it comes to siblings and the hair texture of each sibling, one sibling's hair may be more coarser than the other, and it's just best to go ahead and nip it in the bud. And how about I just lock both of y'all hair, and again, it's a low maintenance hairstyle. Y'all are embarking on this journey together. And at the same time, we won't be doing a fuss about whose hair is more relaxed than the other, so to speak, or whose hair has a looser curl than the other, so to speak. Okay. And she also encountered about, well, the reason why her hair is long is because she loved water. And it makes sense because I love water too. Not only drinking it, but also being in it is very refreshing. And you know how us black women, when it comes to water, and us black folks in general when it comes to water, but especially with black women when it comes to water and our hair, again, it's not going to react the same as other people. When we go in with a silk press or when our hair is styled, we can guarantee when we come back out, it's not gonna look the same. Okay. Can I get an amen in the comment section below? It is not gonna come out the same. So that's another reason. That is basically the main reason. One of the main reasons why she continued to have her hair locked is because she loved water. Okay. Rightfully so, because she is a cancer. Okay. So that makes sense. Also, she also states that she loves acting and singing because Tracy had asked her, does she enjoy what she does to a certain degree? And yes, you can tell she loves acting and singing. I didn't know that they came from YouTube and to the mainstream. How because that's how they were discovered through YouTube. So they basically had an Issa Rae journey, because Issa came from YouTube as well. But my first time encountering both of the girls was on Daddy's Girls, in one of the Tyler Perry's movie with e, no Il, Idris Elba. There we go. Excuse me, excuse me, Idris. But yeah, that's the first time I encountered the two girls, because another set of girls that was used within the Tyler Perry realm was the McLean girls with China and her sister. So is it McLean? I believe that's how their last name is spelled. McLean. Yeah, China. That was the other sister group that was within the Tyler Perry realm. So not only was the China and her sisters, but it was also Chloe and Halle Bailey in the Tyler Perry sector when it came to the movies being coming out. And also I believe they were used in Meet the Browns, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Oh no, I got that wrong. Okay, the McLean girls, they were with Idris Elba with Daddy's Girls. The Bailey girls, they were on Meet the Browns. Yes, with oh, what's her name? Oh gosh, Angela Bassett. Yes, Angela Bassett. Yes, Miss Mother herself. So that's where I seen them the first time on the screen. But my thoughts on this review of Chloe Bailey was some things that popped into mind was the pressure of the industry of conforming to the norm. Basically, another thing that Oprah had went through, but with these two, with Oprah, it was dealing with the thickness of her hair and her features of her face. This time with these two girls is dealing with their hair because nobody is not used to women that have, or young girls with locks in their head in the industry where they are at now. So there was always a pressure to either, they were asked several times, no matter how good they were, because they are talented singers and they're talented actors. But no matter where they went to audition, it was always the phrase, they were great, but the locks were getting in the way. If they could just cut their locks, if they could just change their hair, maybe we can consider them. That was always the phrase with them. And again, this goes to show on, if you're not able to conform to the norm, then it's going to take a little bit more time for you to be able to break those barriers to where it is considered the norm, because they, unfortunately, they call the locks dreadlocks, and that's not the only reason why it's called dreadlocks, is because the folks in this type of shade back then and still now consider them as dreadful. And of course, the fact that locks represents hair, the hair is dreadful. To That's the phrase, okay? That's the phrase. But it's important for us that has locks in our hair to continue to spread the awareness that they are not called dreadlocks. They are not dreadful. They are just simply locks, okay? The only thing is dreadful is your personality. Boom, I said it. If you're calling my locks dreadful, then you need to look yourself in the mirror. How about that? Okay. But other than that, that was always the phrase when it comes to the Bailey sisters, when it came to their hair, was they are great. We love them. But their hair, we need them to change their hair. Either they cut it or they change it somewhere to where we're able to consider it so we can be relaxed, okay? So they can be aesthetically pleasing to our audience, so to speak. So that's basically um the context of what was explained within her explaining the pressures of the industry. And it got to a point where they did put on lace front wigs, and it was how it was pictured. And when they showed the picture, the wigs, they weren't too bad. I have to give them credit on that. It wasn't too bad. It was like a wet and wavy type of pattern, and they thought of it as dress up. They didn't take it too seriously. As kids, they don't take things seriously. They just think it's dress up and they go on my no business. Meanwhile, whenever they do go out in public and people were used to them showing up with their locks, they will be like, oh my gosh, they will embrace them a little bit more. They'll be like, oh my gosh, you combed them out. What is going on? Especially when it got to a point where they were in college or they were in school. But I believe she has explained that when they were in college and they was wearing those lace front wigs, and people was asking, even though they were more relaxed around them, it still was like, oh my gosh, what did you do with, oh my god, your hair looks so pretty. And they would ask the question, so what did you do with your locks? And she will always explain them, hey, I just combed them out, but rest assured, whenever the school starts, they will be back in. So I thought that was very comical and very strategic at the same dang time. But it also led to a segue to another topic that was explained with the pressures of conforming to the norm, was when Tracy had told Chloe about in the 80s women would get fired for not being presentable enough to be able to hold a conversation or continue a business transaction, especially when it comes to the secretarial jobs and the cashier jobs. What, whatever industry, especially the hospitality industry, but and this goes with all of them, but especially within the hospitality industry and the business administration, where you're in those secretarial positions and you are the first person that come in into a building, and they see a person that, even though you feel like you're presentable to continue to carry out day-to-day routines and activities, the company says otherwise. The company and society says otherwise. So therefore, if you did not get on the bandwagon of showing up presentable enough and aesthetically pleasing enough to continue on to day-to-day activities and routines, you was gonna get fired. So there was a big uproar about that in the 80s, of how Tracy explained it, of women just getting fired like this because they don't look presentable in the company standards. And that just reminds me of watching the Abercrombie and Finch, um, yeah, Abercrombie and Finch I guess you could say a series or documentary on Netflix, where they had a standard and they had a rule book, and they even had like freaking picture examples of a person that is presentable, which is a person in this complexion, that's blonde hair, blue eyes, or has that preppy look, and a person that has, and then on the flip side, if you see a person with that is melanated and their hair is in locks or in braids or any other style other than straight and presentable, no, we're not going to hire them. So they had a big fiasco and lawsuits on top of lawsuits on that aspect in regards to recruiting people of being in their retail space, because they want to continue to maintain the aesthetic and also maintain the presentability when it comes to the clients coming in, the customers coming in, trying to purchase items at their stores, and they see a person that is not within the standard or not within the norm, and they get all bushy, well, they don't even get all bushy eye, but they'll get their children, or they get their little purse thinking we're gonna snatch it away from them, and we're not. We just simply here to do our dang job and keep it pushing, okay? So that's what came into mind when they was explaining how the pressures to conform to the norm in regards to the acting entertainment industry. But that, to me, that just goes all across the board for me. Another thing that came out to me with her interview was her vulnerability in regards to stating that it's okay being herself. When it comes to being hard on herself, it's okay to have that grace and extend that grace, so you can be able to reflect and say, hey, you don't have to do all this at one time, so to speak. Also, when it came to her vulnerability, she expressed that she had a separation anxiety being away from her sister when the panorama was around, because her sister was in a whole nother country filming for I'm assuming it was Little Mermaid at the time. And when her revelation when it came to that aspect was, it forced her to get out of her comfort zone and to figure out who she is as herself, because her and her sister are like this, and they've been through and through throughout the years like this. And the fact that the panorama had came and they were like this, it forced both of them to be able to establish themselves and figure out who they are as an individual, as self. Okay, which that's what everybody should have done in 2020, if you haven't gotten the drift already, was to figure out who you were as self, so you can prepare to be out of the program matrix that we are living in now, and be able to step in our own, so we can be able to create our own. Okay, so that's what, let's see, anything else. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, another thing that was it for the vulnerability realm. Now, on the social media aspect, Tracy had asked her, how does she feel about social media? And me and her are like the same way. It's a love-hate relationship. We love it because it's free promo. You get to promote yourself in the best way, shape, or form, good or bad, funny, sad, whatever the case may be, because that was how they got discovered, through YouTube covers. It's basically self promotion in the love aspect for social media, and it's also in love aspect with social media. And when you're trying to still keep in touch with your family members and classmates that you consider close family to you. Now, on the flip side of social media, the loathing aspect of it is basically the hair, her getting feedback on her hair, the comparison to her sister, her weight, and attacking her character, because it sends that signal to her in regards to continue to strive for perfection because of the continuation of the feedback between her hair, her comparison to her sister and weight and stuff, so forth and so on, which I understand that because when she came out with her album, especially with the Mercy song and her doing her performance on stage and how she has evolved from a little girl to now, it's like people can't keep get the little girl that they had in their head of her out because she is a grown woman now. Of course, she's in that age where she's exploring not only herself but also her sexuality, what she like and what she don't like, what is considered sexy to her, what is not considered sexy to her. Don't act like you all have not been going through that phase because we all go through that phase where we're trying to figure out our dang selves if we haven't figured it out already, especially when it comes to our sexuality because we have been programmed for a long time of how things are this way and things that are that way is not right. Okay, so that just we just gonna have to continue to show grace with her because we are literally seeing her showing her not only showing her vulnerability, but she is actually coming out of her cocoon that she has been in for the longest, being with her sister for the longest. She is unfolding and evolving in front of our eyes. And when she came out with that Mercy song, I was like, okay, Miss Chloe that came out, girl. Like I literally had said that on Twitter, after seeing her whole video, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Chloe Bailey has arrived. She has arrived. Like, we, you can't be goody two shoes for so long, okay? You can still be good and have, little rebel features or little rebel aspects in a healthy way, but y'all, we gonna have to give her some grace now. She's still trying to figure out herself, which leads to the red carpet experience. She said there's a love-hate relationship with that, and Tracy agrees with her on that spectrum as well because she compared it as feeling like she's in a cattle call as people are continuing to call her name, like the paparazzi folks are continue to call her name, and she has to make sure she's in in a good pose, take a good picture, and just the thought process of the self-hatred. It leads to a form of self-hatred because it is almost degrading. She gave the comparison like it's kind of degrading in that aspect because she loved it because she's able to show her creativity through her clothes. What she wears as far as her clothes, from makeup and hair, but also on the negative aspect, at one bad move and boom, it makes the papers. Boom, it makes it blogs. Like, oh my gosh, she looks horrible. Or oh my gosh, do you look at her dress? Oh my gosh, and I had to whole. I had to, because I be judging people too when it comes to their hair and makeup. Not necessarily Chloe, but I don't pay attention to celebrities like I used to. But yes, the way she explained it with her love-hate relationship with the red carpet experience, I see that. I can see that. And I'm glad she showed the vulnerability aspect on how she is or how it could seem to be when she's in that space. Because it is a strive to perfection. You gotta make sure your hair is in tip-top shape, your makeup, your physique, your clothes, your shoes. Because any wrong thing could be said about, okay, and it'll make the blogs and so forth and so on. And then of course we're gonna segue to the sexuality part. I feel like I already touched that portion, but basically, Tracy had asked her, "What does it feel like? What's being said?" And this is in regards to her saying, "Well, basically, when it comes to the sexuality, you have to have a thick skin, cause and making sure it's making you happy, or making sure it's making her happy on what she is doing in regards to exploring her sexuality. What makes her feel great, because like she is her own self, and we're not her parents. Everybody, we're not the most high on who to judge. So again, when it comes to the sexuality, don't act like you did not experience a portion in your life where you was trying to figure yourself out when it comes to sexuality. Everybody deals with it in very in various ways, okay? Whether it's in public or behind closed doors. So when it comes to behind closed doors, just make sure it's with somebody that is mutual, and not going to do anything drastic like blast it over social media, having you embarrassed. Okay. All right. So that's what was being said in that sexuality aspect, is basically just having thick skin, because everybody's going to have something to say, and then do what feels right to you. Do what makes you happy. And then lastly, they mentioned the self care, and Tracy had asked her about what is self care to you, and she explained it the best way. Learning to be content, being present within yourself, because if you focus too much on the future, then it strays away of what is happening in the present moment. And also, being alone is fine. Don't be afraid to be alone, because again, that just caused you to go into self-reflection and just figure out the aspects of what you like and what you don't like, and what you work, and the aspects that you don't like, you can work towards it and make it to where it could be your greatest asset. And also, what was mentioned is the internal compass. What version do she want, in regards to Tracy asking her about how does her whole style come together in regards to what version she wants to be today. And she had explained that it's basically how she feels at the moment, and and based on how she feels at the moment, that's how the attire is going to be. So it could be one day she feels like she wants to be glam, it could be another day she wants to be casual, and the list goes on. Now her favorite hairstyle, surprisingly, but I kind of figured it was going to be, is when she had the blonde locks in her head, the blonde extensions in her hair, or add-ons, because her hair is already long. But ex- uh, the blonde, how should I say it? The blonde. I already said it. Damn it. The blonde locks. That is her favorite hairstyle, which I figured it was her favorite hairstyle, because I mean, once you get a glimpse of the blonde aspect in your life, you just feel like you the baddest thing ever walking, and that's how you should feel. As they always say, blondes have more fun. Well, who hasn't had a blonde moment, whether it's with your hair or not? Because I clear. Once I had my blonde moments, I was I was swinging that stuff, girl. Boo. But anyways, and also lastly, Tracy had asked her about advocating. Who is the best person when it comes to advocating for self? And she mentioned her godmom is her greatest advocate when it comes to her, especially when it comes to the words she speaks. She speaks affirmation over her, and that is great. I love it. I feel like we do need to continue to speak life into each other, no matter what the circumstances is, because again, we don't know what people are going through in their day-to-day lives, and the fact that it could take only one person to either show some form of compassion and love or spread a good old affirmation, you know what I'm saying, on them, or a good little prayer, then that is a sparkle of joy that could bring into someone. It can help strengthening their faith to keep pressing on. Okay, and then also, not only her godmom is her best advocate for her, but she always throws it back at her, saying that knowing that she deserves to live the life that she wants, and if not, people are going to walk away from you. Always loving yourselves in the worst, and always continue to love yourself in the worst moments. Great, I love it. I love how she explained that. Yes, we need to continue to love ourselves even in the worst moment, because that is another continuation in embracing our own true selves, and then also knowing that we deserve the life that we want to live, but it is up to us to be able to take that action towards to living the life that we want to live, right? And then if people don't want to continue along the walk with you, well, either they can fall off the realm, or you can just politely drop them, okay? And I couldn't have said it better more than I couldn't have said it better myself. She, like, great. I love the interview. I love it. I love it. Love it. But that is all, y'all. That was my thoughts on Miss Chloe Bailey and her interview and her hair tales. And bravo. I really enjoyed this series because again, it is a more intimate story than the Good Hair movie that was done with Chris Rock. I hope they do another season with either regular women or just a mixture of regular women, or yeah, just regular women and celebrities mixture, you know, together, something like that. But other than that, I thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget to leave your comments down below on how this resonates with you. Or have you watched the series? What you think about the series? And comment any stories or recollections you have of your hair journey. And don't forget to share the video if you haven't done so already. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification, and don't forget to press all so you know when I upload a video. All my social media links will be in the end card at the end of the video. Just scan the QR code. Or you can check the link in the description box and click on that link tree and follow me where you desire to follow me at. But other than that, I'm going to leave y'all to it. Don't forget to shop my merch, the Soul Child merch. And always remember to love thyself, know thyself, soothe thyself so you can heal thyself. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.